Hello, everyone. Let me share the stream. Let's see. Hello. I don't know who's here, but hello. I'm just sharing the post. So hope everyone's doing great tonight. Okay. All right. So sorry about that, guys. I was just sharing the post so that people can see, so they're not missing out tonight. Hi, Kaylee. If you guys see me looking down, I have Facebook up on my phone so that I don't miss names, because the service that I'm using, it will show me that people are on and it'll show me your comments, but it doesn't always show names. So I want to make sure that I'm saying names as well. But hi, everybody. Welcome tonight. As you guys may have seen via my post, tonight I am talking about self-advocacy. You can also see it there on the screen as well. So just, a little bit of information. I decided to talk about self-advocacy because I realized there are a lot of areas or a lot of times when we just, take things for face value. It is whatever the provider, doctor, whatever says it is. And, a lot of times our concerns may go unheard. I'm not unfamiliar to this process or to this occurrence. Like, it has happened to me on more than one occasion where I was not heard or I felt unheard, or, the person that I was working with was reluctant. Been a couple of times where I wanted to get certain blood work done because I just had this feeling like something else is going on, or I had done my research and I said, I want to go ahead and get this checked out, and was met with resistance. Hi, Mom. I was met with resistance, or, the person just, flat out was like, no, you don't need that type of thing. And so I wanted to come on because I wanted you guys, first of all, to know and understand that you are not the only ones that have to advocate for yourselves and your health. That healthcare providers often have to do that as well. And two, just to give you guys some information on like advocating for yourself, let you know why it's important and some things that you can do to better advocate for yourself. As you guys may know, COVID-19 brought out the fact that there are so many health disparities as it relates to people of color. And so it's, becoming more and more important that we do advocate for ourselves, that we do go out and, make sure that we are getting the health care that we need. As well as there's been reports recently about how with pregnant women, African American pregnant women are more likely to deal with mortality. Hey, BB. They're more likely to deal with mortality during or post labor as a result of these healthcare disparities. So it's super important that you are advocating for your health, that you are, knowing what's going on with yourself, having the information that you need so that you can put yourself out there as somebody that's knowledgeable and that wants to, be in control of what's going on with them. Hi, Auntie. So why is it important to advocate for yourself? I'm pretty sure you guys could think of a million reasons why. I'm just going to give a couple. Number one, your health is important, right? And so it's important to show that, you care about your health. As you know, with most things, people, if you take things more seriously, people will take you more seriously, right? So if you're someone that's saying, this is my health, this is what I am concerned about, this is what I want to, look at, this is where, my area of focus is. And granted, if you go to a healthcare provider and they decide or they see where there's a more pressing issue, they may lean into that. But you shouldn't be in a place where you're completely ignored. So, making sure that, when you take your health seriously, it's easier for others to take it seriously as well. So advocating for yourself shows that you are serious about your health and that, you are not to be taken lightly, because that can happen too. Again, like I said, as people of color, and I know that I do have people on that view my live that are not people of color, but for the people of color, again, there are a lot of health disparities. So it's important for you to be on top of your health and be on top of advocating for yourself, because you may run into providers that may not advocate for you, or they might not be knowledgeable in, African American health and, some of those things. So it's important for you to go out there and actually put yourself first. We advocate for things in business. We advocate for, against social injustices. We will advocate for gender equality. Why not advocate for our health as well? Because our health is extremely important. Um, let's see. Wow. So that's interesting. Um, Landon said that he had someone, a doctor, tell him that his numbers were high because he was Black, which, understanding that being an African American can make you more, or can be considered a risk factor, or you might be more susceptible to certain conditions or diseases. You want to make sure you have somebody that understands what's going on with African Americans and that will be invested in your health. Having someone just say your numbers are high because you're Black, that personally, if I can speak on that level, personally, I would get another provider, because that's something that I would not be comfortable with. Because you definitely want somebody that's going to, give you the whys, the what's, this is what you're dealing with and why. Not just because you are African American, not just because you're Black, but these are some other things that can contribute. These are some other things that may be causing this. These are some things to look out for. Even when it comes to treatments, right? You want to make sure that your doctor is somebody that you can actually converse with and say, well, what is this medicine that you're giving me? What is this prescription for? What are the side effects of it? I know that doesn't happen very often. A lot of times people will get that information on the back end, but they don't get that information up front. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to ask the questions up front. Don't be afraid to interview your doctor. Find out if they are somebody that specializes or is familiar with African American health, or if they feel comfortable treating African Americans. Because again, with the times that we live in, we want to make sure that you have somebody that is not only going to treat you, but be comfortable treating you, that's going to be okay with treating you. And so my aunt said, again, guys, this is nothing that I haven't dealt with. I had to go to the ER once, dealing with the issue, and they did a drug screen on me. They had no reason to believe that I was a drug user. I wasn't presenting with anything that I can tell that would make them think that I was a drug user. I didn't go in seeking for medications or anything, and a drug screen was done on me. And I didn't find out until the nurse kind of accidentally blurted it out saying, oh, why is he doing a drug screen? And I'm like, yeah, why is he doing a drug screen? I have no idea. So, being somebody that advocates for your health, ask those questions. If you are someone that has a specific condition and you've researched it, again, one of the ways that you can put yourself at a better position to advocate for your health is to remain knowledgeable, is to do the research. And so if you look up something and you have a question, you say, hey, I've looked up this, I've researched this, can you tell me more about it? You want someone that's going to be receptive of your questions. You want somebody that's going to be receptive of your the knowledge that you already have, and somebody willing to answer the questions. And if they don't know the answer, that they're at least willing to say, let me look it up for you. Let me do more research for you so I can better prepare you. Or let me refer you to someone that knows this area better than I do. So make sure that you are knowledgeable. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. You can interview your doctor. Again, this, I know we have this mindset, that your doctor is an authority figure, which they are, but they are also they're a part of your healthcare team. Like if you're the CEO of a business, right, you want the best possible people that you can have on your team. So imagine that your health is a business that you are trying to run and you want the best people possible on your team. So ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Also, when you are championing for your own health, when you are, being the type of person that goes out and, says, I know this, that, and the third about my health. I know, that for me, slight changes in my blood levels can cause dramatic responses. Knowing that information helps you to be prepared mentally and physically and emotionally, but it also equips your doctor to know, okay, I need to monitor this more closely. So, this not only helps you, it helps your healthcare providers to be able to provide more efficient care for you. So know those things. Keep up with your blood levels, your blood work, your test results, all of those things. Make sure that you are keeping up with them. Like make sure that, when you get blood work done, keep a record of those things. Because again, it's going to not only allow your doctor to be able to notice changes, to notice patterns, but it's good for you as well. If you have to move or move out of state or, transfer to a different doctor for insurance reasons, you can take this information to them and say, hey, this is what my base looks like. This is where I land. These are the patterns that have been noticed in my health, and this is where I need help. So make sure that you are, again, staying knowledgeable. Ask the questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions and keep up with your health. Like keep up with your diagnoses, keep up with the medications that they give you. And again, if you're given medications, you can ask questions. I know a lot of us, growing up or in the past, we have had, doctors, whatever the doctor prescribed, that's what you take, right? There are hundreds of medications, if not thousands, out on the market right now. And so knowing what you are taking, the possible side effects, all of that is going to help you. Because if you do have a reaction, you want to know, okay, is this just a side effect or is this a reaction that says I need to call my doctor, right? So ask the questions. And if your doctor does not want to give you the answers, it's okay to find a new one. It's perfectly okay to go get a doctor that can hear you out. My mom said my doctor told me he didn't believe in naturopathic medicine, so I questioned him. So that is another thing, guys. As you all know, I am a doctor of naturopathic medicine, and there are a lot of doctors still that are learning what we do, that don't know what we do, they don't understand it. Some may not want to understand it. Some are receptive. But understanding, again, this is an education thing for both them and for you to know what you know, right? So if you're saying, I'm somebody that I like naturopathic medicine, I prefer a holistic approach. When you go to your primary care doctor, if your primary care is not a holistic provider, or is not a naturopathic provider, you can tell them, this is what I know about this profession. This is what I know from my experience. This is what has worked. And there are some people that are out there under presenting themselves as naturopathic doctors that might not have the full education and experience that those of us that go to the 4-year universities and all that have experienced. So, sometimes that can leave a bad taste in a physician's mouth as well, having had negative patient experiences. So, you can run into those physicians that question, if you want to take a more holistic approach, they may question that because that's not the approach that they are used to. But again, and very good job, Mom. But again, you want to make sure that you have someone that is willing to hear you out. Even if they don't completely agree or understand, that they're at least willing to hear you out, that's willing to understand. It's very easy to just kind of fall in the go with the flow. Like, okay, my doctor said they don't believe in this, so it must not work, or my doctor said, not to pay attention to this thing, but it's still something that concerns me. I'm not going to worry about it, and your body. That's number one for sure. You know your body. You know what's going on with your body. Most of the people that follow me, that watch these lives, you've at least known your body for mid-20s, so 20 some odd years you've known your body. Some of us 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 and up. You know your body. You've had it for that amount of time. So when things change in your body and you're going to your provider and you're saying, this is what's happening inside of my body, or this is what I'm feeling, you want somebody that's going to listen. You want somebody that's going to be receptive, somebody that's going to be thorough, because there's another thing. Like, they might hear you, but they might not be thorough in their approach. So you want somebody that, is knowledgeable. And to be honest, guys, just like, there are so many different doctors. I know we talk about how there are a million different churches out there, so you can find one that fits you. There are a lot of doctors out here. For insurance reasons, I know that it can be more difficult to find, that perfect provider sometimes. But most of the time we have options to choose from. So even though this provider, may be decent for, a neighbor, maybe they're not a good fit for you, and that's okay. But that's a part of advocating for yourself, advocating for your health, to say, this is a decent person, a decent provider, but just not for what I'm dealing with. Their specialty is not what I need help with. So make sure that you have someone that's knowledgeable. So I told them, Miss Bear. Oh, okay. Yeah, with the FDA approved. So, yeah, again, do research, ask questions. Even if you're taking a holistic approach, ask questions. Anything that they may present to you, any therapy options, ask questions. Again, this is about you championing for your health, you advocating for yourself, you stepping out and saying, this is what I need for my health. This is what I need, to continue in, with this relationship with this doctor, So, if they're saying, oh, okay, well, like you said, Mom, that he's saying like it's not FDA approved. Well, what therapist is he talking about? Ask those questions. If somebody says something like that, you can ask. And again, if they are not receptive to your questions, if they feel intimidated by your knowledge, and they're overt with their intimidation or with your questions, it might be, time to find someone else. I've had several people that have talked about how they just didn't feel heard, by their provider, or they brought up an issue and the provider did not, hear what they were saying. They were focused on something else. Again, for my own self, I recently had an experience where I asked a specific question about one thing, and because the provider had made up in their mind what they thought it was, they began to go into another direction. They began to talk about something completely different. So, evaluate those things, evaluate what the provider is saying to you. Again, just want to go back over those things and make sure that you are knowledgeable about yourself and your health. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask questions before, ask questions during, ask questions after. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I had a doctor once that I would literally have my little list of questions and she would let me ask each one. And she was just as nice and sweet and calm as she could be, and she would answer each question. And I appreciated that. Having providers like that, it makes things easier for you because you know that there's somebody that at the very least they're invested in your health, So make sure that you are asking the questions. Again, if you're not being heard, it's okay to switch providers. You don't have to stay married to your doctor. It's okay. Even if it's Dr. G and you come to me and this is not a good fit, it's okay to switch providers. It's okay to find someone else that fits what you need, that has the knowledge base that you are looking for, that's willing to hear you out, that's willing to answer your questions. And again, when you are on top of your health, it not only helps you, but it also equips your doctors. When you know what's going on with your health, when you've kept record of the changes, it helps your doctors and it also helps you. It makes you the type of person that they take note of. It makes you the type of person that, people are less likely to be negligent with. And that, you're not somebody that can just be dismissed because you know what you're talking about and you're confident in what you're talking about. So another thing is be confident in the things that you're saying. Be confident in the things that you know. And it's okay, like I said, if along the way you discover that, there's something else that the doctor wants to focus on, a more pressing issue, but at least have someone that will hear you out. At least have someone that will hear your concerns, that will, address your concerns and not dismiss you, not disregard you, not disrespect you, not just look at you as a statistic or see you as, just a person of color. There's been, things coming out recently about how there are doctors still to this day that believe that African Americans have a higher pain tolerance. And so they are less likely to prescribe necessary medication because of that viewpoint. There are still, in 2020, a lot of old thinking ideologies that are negative towards African Americans that people still hold. They still hold them, and it impacts the way that they do healthcare. So again, make sure that you have someone that is knowledgeable about your health and your health conditions. If you are somebody that is of Mediterranean descent and you are dealing with like a thalassemia, If you, if you don't know, if you deal with it, you know what I'm talking about, but it's a blood disorder. You may want to have a doctor that specializes in those types of things, right? Or at least is knowledgeable. For you going to a doctor that, specializes in something like foot disease will not work out for you. And not just saying, and not just talking about specialists, because there are specialists like hematologists and podiatrists that deal with those. But sometimes within those primary care settings, certain doctors are more focused on certain conditions or more focused on certain areas. Not that they can't provide for you, not that they can't deal with those issues, but you might be the type of person that prefers somebody that's more knowledgeable in those areas. So if a lot of times you can actually look on a website or do a quick Google search and find out what conditions doctors focus on or prefer to deal with. So, that's some research that you can do. Again, get educated. Get educated about your health. Get educated about the providers that you are looking at. Get educated about what it is that they specialize in. Don't be afraid to interview your providers, guys. Again, I just want us to be empowered in advocating for ourselves, because sometimes the difference between us getting better and getting worse, and in some cases almost life-threatening situations, is being someone that advocates for yourself or having somebody with you that advocates for you. I know a few years back, Serena Williams, after giving birth, had to advocate for herself so that she did not, suffer. I think it was from blood clots she had gotten after childbirth. And so she had to advocate for herself. And so it's, even if Serena has to do it, if Dr. G has to do it, you need to make sure that you are advocating for yourself and your health as well. Do you guys have any questions so far? Anybody have any questions? Anything that you might want to, me to answer or touch on really quickly? Feel free to drop those there. But yeah, asking the questions and just being the type of person that speaks up for yourself could also reveal whether or not this is the provider for you. Because if they are someone that does not like that type of thing, it's probably not the provider for you. If you're asking questions and they can't be receptive or respectful of it, they might not be the provider for you. Is Landon still seeing that doctor? I'm not sure if Landon, if you're still on. My mom wants to know if you're still seeing that doctor. But do you guys have any questions for me? And again, if you are, even in seeing, I do want to make sure I make this point, guys. Even if you are seeing someone that you're closely connected with, like a family friend or a family member is your healthcare provider. For some people, not for everyone, but for some people, it might make more sense to see someone outside of, their circle because of familiarity. Sometimes people cannot be as objective because they're too familiar with you. So make sure that, again, you're asking the questions. If you are seeing somebody that is, closely related to you or, in your inner circle as a provider, ask the questions. Are you able to remain objective? When we step into this office, it's business time. In the people that are close to me that I have seen, I say it all the time. Like when you step into this mode, when Dr. G puts on her Dr. G hat, that's where we are. We are now in a doctor-patient relationship or doctor-client relationship, depending on where you are located. And so, this is where we are. And so we can talk about all the other stuff. We can laugh and talk, but anything outside of what we came to do here today, we can wait on. But when it's time to do business, it's time to do business. Um, yes, don't think that asking questions is ignorant. That's great, Auntie. You want to make sure, because a lot of people, I think, feel like, oh, this might be a dumb question. There are no dumb questions. Like, and I know we say that, and then we hear somebody say a question, you're like, man, that was not a great question. But don't be afraid to ask the questions, even if in your mind you're like, I don't know if this is a good question. This might be a dumb question. Ask it anyway, because you will never find out the answer if you don't ask. If you still have questions after they have given you an answer, let them know, I need more clarity in this area. I need more information because I don't know, or I don't understand, or I don't, it's not clicking for me. Can you help me to understand? If you have older parents, should they, are you saying, should they have an advocate? I think um, most people should have an advocate. Um, a lot of times, or the goal is to have your healthcare provider be the type of person that advocates for you. That's the goal. If you, for your primary care provider to be the type of person that advocates for you. And like I said, sometimes that is not always the case. For us as African American individuals, sometimes it's better to have someone that, again, understands the health disparities that are out there, that understands African American health conditions, so that they can better advocate for you. But I feel like you should have an advocate, especially in emergency situations, of course. Um, but equip your family as well. Like, that's another way you can advocate for yourself. Equip your family and your friends for, if I'm unable to, advocate for myself, this is what I want. This is how, and not just, and let me say this, not just in life or death situations, not just like, oh, okay, I'm on a ventilator, but, let's say you have gotten strep throat and you can't talk, right? So your voice is completely gone, and you're someone, and you have to see a new provider, and you're allergic to penicillin. You need to know, it. Granted, you can write it down, of course, but it helps to have somebody that's with you that says, hey, she can't talk. I'm her daughter, sister, whoever, and she's allergic to that medication. Again, granted, real world situation, you would be writing all this stuff down. You could probably write down what's going on with you, but it can help to have an advocate. As parents, we tend to be advocates for our minor children. And then if you have older parents, you would be an advocate for the older parents as well. Right. If you go to the ER and they want to do something that you don't want, it helps to have that, especially if you're a more timid person, right? If you're somebody that's more timid, you can have somebody with you that will speak up for you. But again, the goal is to have a primary care provider that is an advocate for you, that will advocate for you and your health, that they are the champion for your health. And so I just want to stress to us how important it is to advocate for ourselves, so that we can achieve that, so we can have those providers that will advocate for us as well. Because again, not to say that doctors will be neglectful of you if you don't advocate for yourself. I'm not saying that at all, because doctors take an oath. We have licenses to uphold. So being negligent is not something that doctors should do at any time. But you want to make sure that you are advocating so that so people take you seriously. Again, some people just don't know What's going on with you? Some people just don't understand. And so being that advocate, again, it not only helps you, but it puts your provider in a better situation or a better position to provide for you in a way that's efficient. You definitely want to make sure that you're doing that. Um, it's been my experience that older, especially African Americans, will not ask questions, just go with what the doctor says. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one thing that I do, did want to, that's why I stress so much about asking questions, because I've seen a lot of people, especially older people. And again, I can only speak from the African American experience as far as what I've seen outside of the hat of Dr. G, like just family members and all of that, that have been like, well, the doctor gave me this medicine and it's for, the doctor gave me this medicine for my blood pressure. And I'm like, okay, well, what kind is it? And they're like, I don't know. It's like, okay, is it, is it a diuretic? Does it make you go to the bathroom? Like, what does it do? And they're like, I don't know. The doctor just gave it to me and told me to take it. And it's like, okay, well, let's look it up. Let's find out. Because again, when you educate yourself, you can find out that maybe this medication does not work for you, but there's another one that may work better. Or maybe there are lifestyle changes that you can make that might help to put you in a better position as well. There are people that I know of that have been in a position where, the doctor was ready to, prescribe medication, and they asked for alternate therapies, and the doctor gave them an option or gave them other solutions, and the other solutions actually helped. Now, that's not going to be the case for every single person. There are conditions that do require, some help. So keep that in mind. But again, you want somebody that's going to listen to you. You want somebody that's going to work with you, somebody that's going to hear you out, somebody that is going to, champion for you. If you're somebody that's dealing with something like hypertension and diabetes, and you're like, hey, I want to do diet and exercise before we jump, right into the heavy stuff. And they're like, okay, let's give you 3 months on diet and exercise and see where you can go, like somebody that's going to work with you, somebody that hears and that's concerned. Not to say that they're going to answer the phone for, every single time that you call, like they're going to be like just sitting there waiting on you to call. But at least somebody that's willing to hear you out. At least somebody that's willing to return a phone call or return a message. Somebody that really shows that, they are concerned for your health. And again, this is not to bash doctors at all. I am a doctor. I am a doctor licensed in the state of, or in Washington, D.C. I have a license, just in case you guys did not know. But I am a doctor. I'm not bashing any doctors at all. I am just saying, find who works for you and advocate for yourself. If I was going to trust, oh wow, a pharmacist asked if you're going to trust your research, or trust him. That's interesting. So the other part of that, and I hope, this helps some, but pharmacists do get, a ton of education on, drugs and therapies and health conditions. Again, so sometimes they may have more direction for you. But there's nothing wrong with you doing your research and being equipped and knowledgeable and asking the questions. There are times when, some research, because there's a lot of research out there. So there may be some research that may sway you one way or another. But if you have questions, then it's okay to ask. And if you feel like when you bring up your questions or you bring up a concern that they are not hearing you, like, this pharmacist asking, you going to trust your research or trust him? You have to decide, is this someone that's willing to work with you? Is this someone that's willing to answer the questions? Is this someone that's going to be looking out for my best interest? And sometimes that may take time to build trust with a doctor, but you also, again, want to make sure that you are asking the questions. So I'm not sure how I, on a personal level, would have handled that, but make sure you have someone that wants to hear you out or that will hear you out, that will listen to your questions, that will listen to what you have to say. And granted, they might not have 2, 3 hours to, listen or to receive everything at one time, but at least somebody that's willing to work with you. It's a lot of the people that I know are very well educated people. They are very knowledgeable people. They know how to find quality research, online. So if you do research and you bring it to your doctor and they are like, and they are just completely dismissive, again, it's okay to move on. It's okay to ask questions, you can even go as far as to ask them why ask why this is not a major concern for them. Like, why is, this thing that means so much to me, something that we are putting on the back burner? And they should be able to tell you, this is why. And again, understanding that, a lot of doctors have a high patient load, so they may not have, 2 and 3 hours to really, give all of the answers at one time or to answer every single question at one time. But making sure that you are getting your questions answered, that you are being heard, that's going to be key, and it's going to be very important when you are advocating for yourself. And again, I'm speaking from personal experience as well as professional experience. And again, I know sometimes as doctors, we become overwhelmed. We are humans too, right? And so we become overwhelmed, and we might not, be able to answer the question right away. Like I said, we might not be able to dive all the way in right away, but at least being able to say, you know what, can we come back to that? Or let's come back to that, at another time when we have more time to talk about it. Let's get you back in for another time to, talk about that. He didn't want to entertain your questions. Yeah. See, that's something that is, concerning. If they're not willing to hear your questions, if they're not willing to hear you out. And again, I've had pushback, for myself on a personal level, where not only did they not want to hear what I had to say, but they were completely dismissive. And then I've had people that have said, okay, well, I don't really think that that's how that's going to go, but I'm willing to hear you out. Let's give it a try. Let's look into this a little more, and so that the second type is more my speed personally. But again, like my mom said earlier, a lot of the older generation, they just kind of took things for what they were. But, in this day and age where we have plenty of resources, when we have plenty of, information out there, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay if you have questions. It's okay to, figure out if this doctor is somebody that's willing to work with you. Yeah, so that is, again, Mom, she said that, let me see. Oh, I dropped my phone, guys, sorry. Let me show this one here. Again, having somebody that answers the questions. She said, I had a doctor once that take all the time to make sure all your questions were answered. So, having a doctor that says those things, having a doctor that is saying, let's go ahead and answer those questions. Again, I had a provider that, she, even though we may not answer all of my questions in the one visit, the questions that I did have, she would answer calmly. She would explain things if I had questions. If, there was this, a prescription for a certain medication, and I asked, well, what is that for? What does it do? She might not be able to go into every single detail or every single side effect, but at least a general overview, was helpful for me. So again, the goal is to have someone that champions for your health, someone that that is a advocate for you. But again, sometimes that requires advocating for yourself as well. But let me just say this again, not here to bash any doctors. There are amazing doctors out here on every level, in every specialty, that are out here doing amazing things with patients. They care about their patients. They are there to help their patients. They are willing to answer the questions. They are there to, make sure that you are getting the best care possible. There are amazing doctors out here, and they are everywhere. And again, I know insurance may cause some issues, with, switching doctors and all of that sometimes, but um, there are amazing doctors out here. I just want us to be equipped and prepared to advocate for ourselves, because we may run into those people that do not hear us out, that do not want to, answer the questions, that do not want to, do the research. I myself have had to do a little research for some clients, because my thing is, I want to make sure that I have the knowledge that you need. And if I don't, and if I cannot find it, then I'm more than happy to refer you to someone that can help. Because again, you want to make sure you have someone that's advocating for you, that cares about, your health and your health outcomes. And just because there's another thing, just because a doctor may not work out for you does not mean that they may not work out for someone else as well. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And just because this doctor may work for someone else doesn't mean they may work for you. So it's good to try to find out the doctor that works well for you. Having a good support team or a good health care team that ask questions or share concerns. Yeah, don't be fearful of what the doctor will say. Don't be fearful of, having that rebuttal from the doctor. I know that can be, we don't want to always hear that from our doctors. I know that, we might not always want to be in a position where, we feel like we're being confrontational, but it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to get the information from your doctors. It's okay to, ask those questions. It's not necessarily being confrontational. It's just wanting to know what's going on with you, what's best for you, why they say, do this a certain way, why they say do that a certain way, because it helps you. Again, it equips you. The more knowledge you have, the better you can take control of your health and your health outcomes, and the better you can equip other professionals or other people as a part of your care team to help you as well. Any more questions, guys? Questions, comments, concerns that you guys have? Please let me know. While I am waiting, it looks like my computer has a little bit of a delay, so I apologize if there is a delay. But while I'm waiting, just a reminder, guys, I do have e-courses coming up on stress and sexual education that will be starting next week. Yes, next week. Time is flying by. So they will be starting next week. Sunday is the absolute last day to register for those classes. So you can find the information on my website, www.wholeyouwithdrg, which is on the screen here. You can also find the information on Linktree. The Linktree link is also on the screen. So please go ahead and register for those courses. If you guys need a health advocate, please feel free to book with me, book a consult. I'll be more than happy to, talk about your health concerns and help be an advocate for you as a part of your care team. You can also, again, book with me via my website. You can also find the information on my Linktree as well. And I have journals. And since we are here in my group, I just putting this out there. I'll do a survey in the group as well. But I have something special coming for you guys um, in November for my journals. But I have 5 journals now available on Amazon. So please make sure you check those out. Again, the information can be found on my Linktree link, or they can be found via my website as well. I'm so glad this information was informative for you guys. Again, this video is not to bash any doctors, it's just to help you guys become more informed and empowered to take control of your health and champion for your health, especially during this day and age. Um, I'm so glad you're excited. I can't wait for the classes either. I'm so ready to get this out, guys. Like, this has been good to me. So I know it should be good to you guys too. So there are no more questions. I hope you guys have an amazing night. If you catch the replay, please make sure that you do hashtag replay. This is the end of the video. I probably should have said it at the beginning, but do hashtag replay. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to voice those in the comment section, and I'll come back to you as well. If you have not signed up for my email list, please do so. www.wholeyouwithdrg.com. It should come up. It should come up when you go to the website to sign up for the email list. It'll get you a free ebook, as well as I'm sending out information through my email list that you may not receive via social media. So please make sure that you're signed up for the email list and be on the lookout for some information coming soon. So I hope you guys have an amazing night. And I will see you guys maybe Friday. I think I have a topic for you guys Friday. So I will see you guys later.